4th of July of 2021. Who would have thought we'd live long enough to be celebrating this with all of the problems in the world, the least of which is the current plague. 4th of July, well, to all of you veterans of the Vietnamese War, you have my sympathy. I've served there too. And to all those of you that spit on us when we came back, called us baby killers, and made life pretty miserable for us, I respect your opinion. I think that you're assholes. But in the long run, we were tricked into going to Vietnam. And maybe history will say that you assholes were the real heroes and we were just a bunch of American SS. Who knows? History has a way of being funny that way. I'm a historian. And you can't really look at history until most of the people that have lived it are dead. And then we historians do the best we can to recreate what it was like out of diaries and out of articles and old newspaper articles and everything else. But we can never really understand what it was like to be a doughboy in World War I. Some of us can remember watching our uncles and dads, our cousins come back from the Korean War broken. I don't think any of us really remember the Spanish-American War. I actually remember something about that. The last Spanish-American War veteran would lead our 4th of July parade in the little town of Stoughton, Wisconsin during the early 50s. Of course, in those days, almost everybody marched and everybody loved the flag. And everybody was patriotic. Still a lot of World War II veterans, World War I veterans. They raised me. Most of the values that sent me to Vietnam came from the World War I, Korean, and World War II veterans. It gave me the feeling that I had to drop out of the university and immediately enlist in the Marine Corps, which I did. Did my 6 years, fought in Vietnam, went back to the university, got fed up, came to Israel to fight new wars. Israel is, whether you like it or not, America's first line of defense in the Middle East. As a matter of fact, it's the only country that will support America in the Middle East no matter what happens. It's almost like sometimes with America, it's like the beaten child syndrome, that the more America beats us, the more loyal we become. The more elements in America would sell us out, the more we refuse to accept it. But I am an American born in Chicago. I am an Israeli, an officer in the Israeli army. I served undercover using my American identity to pass through Gaza and other areas, which I really can't talk about, as an American newspaperman collecting information for, I would say, groups that I'm no longer, not really at this point allowed to talk about. So I guess I basically gave my all, both to America and both to Israel. And now I'm 74 years old. I still carry a weapon, as you can see in the back. I still walk the defense line because, after all, I am an action junkie, because we all are. Don't ask me why I love Israel more than I love America. I have to say that I was never spit on for being in the IDF. Now you can make of that what you will. America, the Constitution, equality. You know how long it took us to get equality? George Washington himself said, I don't want to put any black people in the Revolutionary Army. The British said, "Come, join us. We'll give you British citizenship and free you." In the Civil War, the North employed 180,000 blacks, of which only 6,000 were considered good enough to fight in combat. The South didn't employ any one of the 250,000 blacks that supported the South in various ways. They wouldn't let them in the Confederate Army. But interestingly enough, they served the Confederacy for a variety of reasons. One reason that the freed Afro-Americans would serve the Confederacy was because so many men had been taken into the war that the Confederate arms industry was willing to hire anybody at a very high rate. So the freed Afro-Americans didn't go north. They stayed there and they worked in the arms industry and purchased their relatives from the plantations. I've written quite a big article on that. You can see it in Academia. Academia is where I publish many of my articles. If you want to go look for them, have fun. Well, today, the 4th of July, in Israel, the American community celebrates it with baseball games and picnics. But I'm really not a part of the American community because I'm sort of a hybrid. I don't understand why it is necessary for Americans who have lived in Israel for 40 or 50 years to go out and play baseball. But, whatever gets you through the night. I have no interest in that myself. But I want to say, have a wonderful 4th of July to those of you who love America, have served America. And that's going to be less and less as time goes by because we made the stupid decision to abolish the draft. And the draft was the big equalizer where every young man would go and serve at least 2 years in the armed forces. And in return, he would get the GI Bill for education, which allowed all of the lower middle and lower class soldiers a chance of getting an education. These days, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, and only the elite of the elite go there. And it creates a huge gap between upper class America, educated America, and the rest of us. This is one of the first signs of a decay of a democracy when education is only offered to the elite, and when they disband the professional army. Basically, they disband the draft army because every Roman citizen was required to serve X amount of time in the legions, and we don't do that anymore. We prefer professional soldiers or proxies like Israel to fight for us. I'm an Israeli. Why do I say us? I guess I still feel attachment for the United States as I do for Israel, so I guess us means both. Anyway, I probably talked enough. And I did this to wish you a wonderful 4th of July. Go out and have your picnics, go out and eat your steaks, go out and eat your watermelon, or maybe you're not allowed to have watermelon anymore because that may not be politically correct, right? I suppose it depends on where you spit the seeds, huh? So be well, be happy. Shavua Tov to my Jewish friends that are listening to this. And let's hope for better days, even if we don't expect them. And keep safe. The corona's back, and it's going to take its toll until it goes again, and it just mutates, and then it takes its toll again in another couple of years until it finishes its cycle. Shabbat is over. The Shavua is beginning. Have a good week, Shavua Tov, and keep the faith as best you can.